This episode of Midco Sports Magazine is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Hello, welcome again to Midco Sports Magazine. We have a very eclectic collection of stories coming up this week. We will take you to Texas and show you the town and the Pizza Palace that are both owned by Summit League Commissioner Tom Douple. Some food and fun with the Dupe is coming up. And off to the races, in a way, we have a lyrical look at the power of the Pigeon. That's coming up as well. And we start with a man who has made a living on the written word. Dave Vilhauer is a well-known sports writer in South Dakota who found a home at the Aberdeen American News. And Dave has written a book on how to be the best sports parent that you can be. Elena Lanson has the story.
If you're a sports fan in the Dakotas, chances are you've seen the byline Dave Vilhauer.
It's true.
He's covered every level of athletics for almost 4 decades.
What I liked, what she said, is that this is not just about sports, this is life.
And it's given him the chance to tell Aberdeen's stories in a variety of ways, from a variety of different outlets like Aberdeen American News and Hub City Radio.
I just love being able to share people's stories. Everybody has a story to tell, and I love being able to share those.
Most recently, he's decided to tell his own story.
I've had a lot of people tell me through the years, hey, you should write a book about all the stuff that you've covered through the years. And I thought, that might be kind of interesting to write about some of the, maybe the greatest games, greatest athletes that I've ever covered. And so I kind of, gave that a little thought. And one night, about a year and a half ago, laying in bed about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just felt like God was telling me, here's what you should write a book, but here's what you should write on, here's what you should call it, and here's how you should go about doing it.
Over the next year and a half, his late-night vision came to fruition, and he called it The Parent Trapped Within, a guide to sports parenting.
The title of the book actually has dual meanings. Part of it is being a parent trapped within yourself, and you really don't know how to handle it, and you want to say the right thing, but what you say comes out wrong, and you're just kind of trapped, and you really don't know what to do. You want to help your son or daughter, but you don't know what the best way is to do that. And the other meaning of it is being a parent trapped within the system of athletics. Next thing you know, you go to a game and you're very well intentioned, and you get caught in the spirit of competition, and all of a sudden the game becomes more meaningful to you than to the players on the floor or on the field, and you're trapped in the system and you don't know how to get out. I just finished my stint as being a parent of an athlete, and that's one of the things that really comes across in the book. This is not a parent bashing book. This is a book that basically examines a problem, kind of describes how we got here, and offers some solutions and advice on what we can do about it.
Vilhauer's goal is to impact people's lives in a way that gets them to think before they act and be a positive role model throughout their kids' athletic career.
I have a role, definitely have a role. It's being supportive, it's being encouraging, but it's not being critical and critiquing every performance and, here's where you messed up, and all of the negative things. There are a lot of life lessons to be learned by the parents who are on that journey with their children. A lot of lessons that you can benefit through athletics, not just for the participants. There's a window here, and the window is not going to stay open forever. There is a sunset clause. You are not going to be a parent of an athlete forever. And you need to enjoy the time that you have, because before you know it, that time is gone and you can't go back and relive those years.
Well, you can find Dave's book in Aberdeen and Sioux Falls. You can find it at the Sanford Pentagon. You can find it online. And there's a nice little foreword written by Buster Olney from ESPN and some words of wisdom from Dave Vilhauer. Our Midco Mag Rewind this week takes you back to our Winter Olympics show from early 2018 and a story on ski jumping. A sport that was born in Norway, but more than 80 years ago it got a big boost from 2 small towns in the Dakotas, where one of the original super slides built in the United States is still standing. Sort of.
People still talk about it because part of it still stands.
Just outside the town of Devil's Lake, North Dakota, you can still see the rusty remnants of a structure that marks a brief moment in American history, when the Dakotas and Minnesota had very tight ties to the Olympic sport of ski jumping. The event was conceived and born in Norway in the late 1800s and brought to the United States by Scandinavian settlers. In Devil's Lake, this skeleton is all that remains of the scaffolding that originally topped out at 118 feet in the air. Another piece of it blew down last winter, and every year there is less and less of this historic marker. It harkens back to a short period when large crowds would gather here to watch professionals from North Dakota, like Casper Oyman and Peter Falstad, soar almost 200 feet from start to finish, Olympic distance at the time. While much of the rest of the country was dealing with the stock market crash of 1929 and the dirty 30s that followed, the town of Devil's Lake was actually young and growing. People had leisure time and they were looking for fun and for things to do. They had baseball and boating and swimming in the summer.
And in the winter, of course, because we live where there's snow, so they have time, and they have more time as well. They had a winter sports club in the 30s, then decided to build this ski lift.
From 1933 to 1937, the Lake Region Winter Sports Club held tournaments that included ski jumping. And
in 1936, they used the ski jump by Devil's Lake for the Olympic trials.
Well, 4 years before that, the Olympic trials were held in South Dakota, on the banks of the Big Sioux River just outside the town of Canton. Like Devil's Lake, Canton was taking advantage of the short-lived national fascination with ski jumping.
That industry and that particular sport was just getting ramped up and started in the world back then.
The Canton jump itself has been gone for more than 70 years now, but in the early 1930s, this was known as America's finest hill. The Sioux Valley Ski Club hosted national tournaments and attracted huge crowds.
It added a tremendous financial boost, having thousands of people. Every hotel was filled. Passenger train would be taking people 2 miles each to go, and all the extra food vendors and everything that goes with having crowds of up to 35,000. It was a huge financial boon for the town.
The boon would soon go bust as America moved on to other pursuits. But the influx and the influence of our German and Norwegian ancestors had certainly made its mark and formed a brief bond between the upper Midwest and Olympic ski jumping glory. And to be historically fair about the history of the sport in the United States, you cannot overlook one other small town in our part of the world. Red Wing, Minnesota hosted the very first competition in the States and is home to the American Ski Jumping Hall of Fame. The Red Wing style was the original technique that was copied across the continent and evolved nearly 100 years later into the flying V used by the best in the world today. The current ski jumping record is an astonishing 832 feet from takeoff to landing. The modern event is sleek and colorful and beautiful to behold, and it owes a lot to the pioneers on the prairie who got it all going downhill decades ago. Well, up next, food and fun with one of our favorite people, Summit League Commissioner Tom Douple. We've got a pizza pie surprise that we shipped to Sioux Falls from his restaurant in the town that he owns in Texas.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. In our profile this week, we sit down and chow down with Summit League Commissioner Tom Douple. Tom is a Chislic aficionado for one thing. He also owns a pizza place in Texas, and he owns the town that the pizza place is in. And we always wanted to get down there and check it out. We finally did, and we had a little surprise for Tom at the end of the interview. We are here at the Blue Rock Bar and Grill on the Sanford Sports Complex with Summit League Commissioner Tom Douple. Thomas, how are you?
I'm doing great.
14 years now as commissioner of the Summit League, is that right?
Right.
And 10 years, we've been a network for 10 years, so it's been a nice little decade with the relationship with Midco Sports Network and the Summit League.
Well, it's been great, and I want to say y'all have really helped our league in so many ways by getting our message out, doing the games. It's been really good for us, really great for us.
The move has been made from Illinois to Sioux Falls. Right outside the window here from the Blue Rock Bar and Grill is your new offices here in the Sanford Sports Complex. So the move is done. finally,
Right.
you're pretty much settled in now, right?
Yeah, we have what I consider one of the best working environments that we could have ever done. Our partnership with Sanford Health has been really great. And when we came in and met with the architects, we laid it out. Here's what our needs are, and can we make things work in the footprint that they were going to provide? And it has, and it's turned out, just unbelievable.
And you've talked about this over and over, that it was the time to make that move, to come get closer to where the schools are, basically, and Sioux Falls is kind of a hub for the Summer League, really, isn't it?
No, absolutely. Once we had the 4 Dakotas in, and then we had the Omaha, that was 5 schools within driving distance here at Sioux Falls. It just made much more sense to come here. And then also it helped us in the city with the tournament, with more hands-on for our office. So that's really been positive.
All right. One thing we know about you is you love your Chislik.
Yes.
Almost an obsession, I would say, with Chislik. We've got some Chislik here from the Blue Rock, which is delicious, by the way. Mm-hmm. What is your obsession with Chislik?
Well, number one, it's unique to this area. You can't go anywhere in the country that has Chislik. And so when I moved here, knowing through our tournament years, I've been able to have Chislik and can't find anywhere in the country. So I wonder how many places have it. Little did I know, every place has it here in Sioux Falls and the surrounding areas. And so I just started going and making up a list and, evaluating the Chislik, and I really enjoy it. I think it's probably one of the, it's like pizza. You go to Chicago, pizza. You go to Texas, it's barbecue. They ought to really publicize and really promote Chislik because it's a unique and it's just an unbelievable dish.
This is one other thing that we know about you in the 10 years that we've known you is that you own a town in Texas. It's called McMahon, Texas. And we finally got somebody down there to see what this place looks like. It's just south of Austin, 30, 40 miles south of Austin.
Yes.
This is McMahon. Tell us about what is in this town.
Well, it's a very unique town. There's 5 buildings. It's about 2.5 acres. We have a restaurant that we opened up in '09, and it's been very successful. My wife runs everything down there along with my 3 daughters.
The town used to be called Wizardville at one time, I think.
Right.
It was originally Wizardville.
Yes.
The Postal Service said that name is too long, so they made them change it, is the story I heard.
Right.
Named it McMahon. Who is this person right here?
That is my wife, and she's making pizza, which we learned through our time and friendships with the folks up in Chicago. Pizza, wow, you have a lot of great stuff.
This is the hot spot.
Yes.
This is Wizardville Pizza. But the town, you said, it says it's an unincorporated community. What does that mean? And how do you own the town?
Well, we went down there every year. I used to go to Texas Relays.
Okay.
And saw that it was for sale, and went there in '05, and then finally in '07, I put together myself and a couple of my teammates there from LSU, and we bought the town. And then over that time, I've been able to purchase, more. And so I run the town. When it's unincorporated, that means there's, you're the maintenance man, but you're also making sure that things get taken care of.
Are you the mayor? Is there a city government? Or
No, well, you're looking at the city government right here.
You're the sheriff and everything else?
Yeah. Well, we have a county sheriff that helps, and we have a constable that comes by, and that's really been good.
A constable?
So, yes.
Is the pizza at Wizardville Pizza any good?
It's outstanding. It's the best. We've won a lot of awards. It's the best pizza in Caldwell County. And who opens up a pizza place in the middle of barbecue country? But that's been the unique time for us also.
Well, thanks to your wife,
Wow.
we actually have some Wizardville Pizza. She put them in a box, sent them up to us. This is the real deal from Wizardville Pizza. Does that look familiar?
It sure does.
What do we have here? We got a Longhorn. What's that?
We have a Longhorn, which is all meat.
Okay.
And we have a Whiz, which adds more of the vegetables. And then we have a pepperoni.
Yeah, I thought one was a wild hog, but maybe not.
It might be. There's some meats on here. So, this is something else to say the least.
We're going to taste test it. What should we try? I'm going to try whatever this is.
All right.
Thanks, sir. You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm in shock that first my wife didn't tell me. Obviously, that's shocking.
She played it well. Our thanks,
yeah,
our thanks to her.
I'll say. And the fact that you have here in Sioux Falls, we have 3 Wizardville Hall Texas pizzas sitting here. So speechless. Wow. That's good stuff.
Yeah, big thanks to your wife, Anita,
Yeah.
and your daughters for taking care of us and keeping it a secret. There are plenty of Summer League issues we could probably talk about, but we're not going to mess with any of that. We're just going to sit here and eat some pizza.
Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds great.
Thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, we are trying to convince Tom to add Chislic Pizza to the menu at Wizardville. Seems like a perfect fit. We still have a poetic piece on pigeon racing coming up. Stick around for that. But first, we're talking compression technology in this week's Science of Sports.
Sports science is the use of scientific tools and methods to improve athletic health and performance. The Normatec system is a device that uses dynamic air compression to push out metabolic waste and fluid from the tissues while also enhancing blood flow back to the tissues. It's like a sleeve that you're going to put on the extremity. So it could be on a leg, an arm, a hip, a shoulder. And each attachment has different chambers, and these chambers are going to alternate compressing air and releasing air. So it's going to create a muscle pump effect to help push the fluid and metabolic waste out of the tissues while releasing pressure and allowing blood to come back to the tissue to help support recovery. It's really beneficial for athletes that are in intense training sessions where they need time to recover faster to help improve their performance and keep performing at their best.
Midco Sports Magazine on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. Our last story this week is about an animal that not many would consider majestic, but as David Brown eloquently explains, this bird, through racing, can relate to humans in a very unique way.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
The flock ascends, painting the sunrise with strokes and dots, destinations only known in their deepest thoughts. They rush to new heights, unconcerned with their flights, only wondering what path to cross.
They start their very first year.
Where they start is the same, where they finish is not. For each of these birds must hatch its own plot. Avoiding power lines, evading them like mines, to distinguish themselves from the lot.
You don't go on a marathon race and run a marathon race without training. You got to be in physical shape.
The pigeon, pejoratively known as the rat of the sky. The pigeon, figuratively speaking, a beacon so high. They race to their homes, the animal version of drones, in a competition hard to defy.
Young birds want to fly.
George races these birds he has for years. More than 100 in his loft, 200 eyes and 200 ears. The sight can astound with an unmistakable sound, yet a calm that drowns out any fears.
I mean, you want basically what they call an apple-type body.
The fruits of the labor, bred to soar. They practice and prepare for every chance to explore. They find their way back on an uneven track, and then they go back for more. They're marked by their feet.
Each bird gets their own number.
With a timer inside. It calculates their speed as they cross the divide. That's how you find a winner. The margins couldn't be thinner. when yards per second is your guide.
The best characteristics, the one that comes home the fastest.
Some pigeons start far away, others just around the bend. Yet regardless of how much energy they spend, they find a way to return. But a question everyone wants to learn is, how do they know where to end?
Everybody's wanted to know that for centuries. There's a lot of theories.
They want familiarity after an unfamiliar ride. To be a pigeon with purpose, power, and pride. Perhaps humans can relate, because no matter what your fate, we want others to know that we tried.
It's just a natural homing ability and desire to come back to their nest.
If home is where the heart is, then where is our soul? It's in the grind and process of achieving our goal. Whether it's big or small, whether we fly or fall, it's the journey that makes us whole.
Every second counts. Some of these races are won by seconds.
So the next time you see a pigeon, try to understand that we both like to race, our destinations wing in hand. Whether we want to be fast or end up finishing last, it's time that makes us all feel grand.
It's just fun watching them come home.
This has been Midco Sports Magazine, presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.